Hi, everyone. Our assignment this week is for timelines in Timeline JS, a great piece of software for building timelines. This video is for both the data and digital courses. You'll both be doing timelines in your classes, but you'll have different due dates. This is what I have up on the screen. This deadline is actually for the digital class because they're doing it in week 12, and data, you're going to do it in week 14. So you have a different deadline for this. But the thing I'm going to have you do is kind of read through some different timelines and look them over. Go and create a login at Timeline.js, just like we did for StoryMap a week or two ago. StoryMap was built after Timeline.js, so it uses a nice, clean little digital interface. Timeline.js is a little clumsier. It was a Night Lab's very first tool. It requires you to set up a spreadsheet to build with it. So it's a little more challenging, but we'll walk you through those steps. You're going to watch the video right here that you're watching now. There'll be a link here for that. And then we're going to have you do a little World Cup timeline assignment. It's a lot of fun. It's a history of the World Cup. And that is on this Google Doc. It's also in your class Google Drives for each week that you have this assignment, whether it's digital or data. This first handout, I talk a little bit about timelines. What makes a good timeline? You need a point in time. It can be over centuries, decades, years, months, days, weeks, even down to the minute or second. I actually had a student a few years ago who did a timeline on the events that transpired on 9/11. So it was almost times minute by minute breakdown of what was going on and walked everybody through the entire day. I've also had people, go through and do, decades of various world wars, the Spanish War, things like that. Thing to remember about Timeline and StoryMap is these make good presentation tools. You can also use these in classrooms to present various topics. If you're taking a history or poli-sci class, it could come in real handy. You need to have data about that point in time, some facts to share with them, description of that point in time, why is it historically significant, and then multimedia about it. And just like StoryMap, you can embed video, photos, audio, you name it, into the interface, and it will play in the timeline. So here we have some examples. The history of Prohibition. This one was a professional one that a newsroom did when Whitney Houston died. It's basically her obit, only as a timeline. Tuition hikes. This was a kind of an interesting one at the University of Nebraska, and then they also did one on the history of the school. It celebrated its 150th anniversary. We've done timelines on the history of the Super Bowl, all kinds of really cool stuff. So to set up an account in Timeline.js, you just go to Timeline.js right here. And the first time you click on Make a Timeline, it'll ask you for your Gmail address and things like that. And you'll just set it up there. This is a good example of one of the timelines that I was talking about a minute ago. This is the history of Prohibition. And notice as you slide through it, it has various images, videos, headline, a little blurb about it, and then it also lists the timeline down here. You have to put a start date and end date so it shows up properly in the timeline. We'll show you how to do that when we open up the spreadsheet. But it's a really cool little tool. And it's also mobile responsive, just like StoryMap, so they look good on your phone too. It turns it into more of a vertical presentation than horizontal that you see here in a browser. So go ahead and open up our World Cup timeline practice assignment. I'll pause here for a minute, hit pause on your video. So you can go ahead and open it up and read through it top to bottom and look at all the examples, and then start the video back up again. Okay, welcome back. Now you've read through the timeline practice assignment. Building the assignment is pretty easy. The hard part is the setup, and the little explainer there walks you through it. But scroll down here to where it says opening slide. This is the first content that will move into the slide. This is a history of the World Cup soccer tournament. It's really kind of cool. And be sure to include your byline here in all caps at the end. Usually I put a little hyphen with my name there in all caps. But it gives you, a cut line, media, caption, the credit for your photo, and so on. It also gives you dates. There's an opening slide, and then as you get into the various slides, you get the opening and closing dates for the tournament. which will set it up in the timeline, the headline, the blurb, and then links to various videos and things like that. Now notice some of the videos in here may or may not work. It also has stuff in here that says find your own. So you'll need to go find your own photo or video that'll work here. And there's some really cool ones out there. So we do have you do a little bit of your own research. And this is a good way to set up your timeline. If you're doing the research, for your maybe for your final project and you want to use a timeline, you can just set it up in here very similar to this in the template along with the dates and everything. That way when you go to build, all the content's there. It's really hard to build the timeline and do the research at the same time. So go ahead into Timeline.js now, and I'm going to show you how to set up the spreadsheet. Once that's done, it will be a snap after that. And also Timeline.js walks you through those steps. So go ahead and hit Make a Timeline. And down here, it walks you through the 4 steps to set it up. Like I say, it's a little clumsier than StoryMap.js, but once you get the hang of it on this practice one, you'll be fine. So click on Get Spreadsheet Template. Make a copy of it, because you're copying it basically off of their Google Drive, and it will open up right here. Okay, and it's called Copy of Timeline.js Template. So once it loads, it does take a second to load here. You'll be able to change the title up here of it and call it World Cup Timeline. Okay. And this is a critical step. Your timeline will not work if you don't go to this tab here that says File at the top and go down here to where it says Publish for Web, or Publish to the Web, excuse me. Click on that and then hit Publish. You only have to do this one time. It asks you, are you sure you want to publish this selection? Say yes. And then you're done. Okay. Now grab this link in the top field at the top here. It's just a big long Google Doc, and save this link. This is your spreadsheet that you will create your timeline on. And if you lose this link, obviously you would have to start over. You want to add some rows down here at the bottom. So I'm going to add 15 rows at the bottom. Just hit add and 15. Take the 1,000 off. You don't have 1,000 rows. This allows you to do a little longer timeline. Okay, and it gives you some dummy data in here. It's they just kind of put this template in here, and you'll remove this as you go. Your opening slide is up in this blue row up here. That's always your opening slide. And then after that, you will do your dates, opening and closing, and then the information, headline, text, link to your multimedia and your credit, caption if you need it for the videos you won't, and so on. Just make sure you don't delete the word title out of here, because it tells the spreadsheet that that's the title slide that goes first. Now you can do your dates in any order, even if I did them out of order here. They don't have to be in chronological order. Timeline.js will sort them out and put them in order for you. So you can do those dates in any order. I think I give them to you chronologically. So once you copy this link up here to the spreadsheet, click back over to Timeline and scroll down to step 3. This is where you can kind of test your spreadsheet as you go. Copy and paste your spreadsheet link into step 3, into this little generate a timeline interface, and hit return. It will give you a link and an embed code. The link is really all you'll need, because you'll just tweet out the link to your assignment. And this is the link I need down here under step 4, not this link up here to the spreadsheet. Hit preview, and it will show you a preview. And this is all the dummy text that's in there right now, photos and stuff like that. Kind of cool little design. You can embed YouTube or Vimeo videos. All you need is the link. And there you go. So now we're going to start populating our spreadsheet with some of our World Cup information. So we'll grab our paragraph here. And I'll go over and I'll drop it in this area that says text. And remember to add your byline at the end. It says include byline at the end. Delete that off, otherwise I'll tag you for it, because this is a graded assignment. And in headline, you'll cut and paste your headline in there. Then we'll grab our multimedia. Just double click in there and then delete out whatever's in there, this little Flickr link. Cut and paste your photo in, which is much cooler than theirs. Double click again under media credit. We're going to put in who shot it, and it actually comes from Wikimedia Commons, which is great because it's rights free. I'm going to put my caption in here. Spain won it in 2010. So there we go. We have an opening slide now. Now we're going to go down. It's a little more challenging to do each date. So we're going to go back and we're going to go down to slide 1, 7/16/30 and 7/30/1930. Go back and do 1930 again. Remember, it goes across. And our headline for this one is the First World Cup, or you can cut and paste it in. World Cup has such an interesting history. The Ramée Trophy, too. The Nazis actually hunted that back in World War II. It's a very scary story. You'll learn about it as you put this together. It's got a great history with Italy and a story that my father-in-law loves to tell, and that's where I learned about it. So I worked it into this project. It's a really cool little story. I'm going to delete out my multimedia again. And this time we're going to drop in this YouTube video. And again, some of these videos work, some of these don't. Video comes from FIFA, which is the organizing body of the World Cup. Been in the news quite a bit. Not always good either. A lot of controversy in soccer. And then you grab this newsreel footage caption here. Explains where it came from and what it is. It's important that the reader know, it's old newsreel footage, things like that. Okay. And now that I've done a couple of rows of information here, I can go in and start updating over here in timeline and see how I'm doing. And a lot of times I just hit reload just to see if it'll do it. A lot of times you can just hit that preview button again too, and it'll drop it in. Or you can just grab your spreadsheet link up here again, copy it, drop it over into timeline, hit return, hit preview, and now you'll see your data start to appear in the spreadsheet. And there's the history of the World Cup, Uruguay versus Argentina. And notice on slide 3, I've still got the old dummy data in there. I haven't replaced that row yet. So what you'll do is you'll just keep going along and populating these different rows. And once you're all done, all you do is go back to Timeline.js, go back and grab your link here, and you'll tweet this. Just remember, step 4 is the link that you want to tweet out. Don't tweet out your spreadsheet link, because every once in a while I get somebody who'll do that, and that is an F grade if you do that. So we don't want that, and especially have to spend all this time building this cool timeline. And we've given you some great multimedia to work with. You'll have some that you can work with yourself. Just make sure you tweet it to our class hashtag UIC Digital with a nice description. And I'll grade it, and you'll do great on it. And keep timeline in mind for your final project. You may have a project that has a long history on this issue or topic you're writing about, much like the prohibition bars that the students did for that example I showed you earlier. And it'd be a really cool layer to add to your project. So good luck with Timeline.js. Join me in the Zoom discussion or email me if you have any questions. Thanks.